Everybody always waits to go with the herd. Guys, you want to buy when the market is pessimistic and you want to sell when the market is optimistic. And if you follow that, as long as you can cover your costs through your tenants and rent, you're golden.
Welcome to America's Inner Circle, the podcast that dives deep into the stories, strategies, and secrets of the most successful real estate agents in the game. Whether you're an aspiring agent, a seasoned pro, or just love a good success story, you're in the right place. Each episode, we sit down with top agents who share their journey from the ground up, how they overcame challenges, seized opportunities, and made their mark in the competitive world of real estate. Ready to learn from the best? Let's unlock the keys to real estate success together. Here is your peek into the Inner Circle.
Hi, this is Mel Allen, your host of the Inner Circle podcast. And this is a podcast where we are taking a deep dive into the stories from some of the most successful real estate agents in the country. If you want to learn how to establish yourself as a top agent, well, you're in the right spot. And today we are honored to be joined by Brandon Greenplate from Hilton Head Island, I think it is, in South Carolina, right?
Yes, sir. Mel, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. You have been doing this for several years now. I think since 2019, I saw you have sold over $200 million of real estate. So you're in the 1% of the market performer where you are, right? So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been quite a journey.
You've got several 5-star online reviews, over 50 of them. You have earned the distinction of the best of Zillow. I mean, you are creating some wonderful value for your clients in the area where you are, and people may have already heard some of your advice. So I'm seeing now it says that you've got AOL.com, Yahoo Finance, ABC News affiliates, and you're also a National Association of Realtors 30 Under 30 list. So how does that feel to have all of that behind your name following you along?
It feels good, but it doesn't happen overnight. It's a momentum thing, and you got to take your wins and multiply them.
Well, how did you kind of start, your journey into real estate? What made you realize, this is the thing that I want to do. This is where I want to be working. This is where I want to be, making those, all of those accolades, kind of getting those behind me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I'm down in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. We're a resort market, the second biggest island on the East Coast, about $1 billion a year from tourism. But prior to that, I was in Clemson University studying entrepreneurship and business management. And I always knew that I never wanted to work for anybody else. And I really just wanted to work for myself. And I had an internship with a broker here on the island who really got my foot in the door with real estate while I was still in school at Clemson. And I had the opportunity to go to some different places, but ultimately decided, hey, I'm going to come back to the island and I'm going to give it 110%. So it was an internship that was a foot in the door. I knew I never wanted to really, kind of be in that corporate structure, and I wanted to kind of create my own legacy, and I was hungry to do so. So when I had the opportunity after graduating from Clemson, come back here and give it 110%, it was good timing, and it was also a good work ethic combined with it.
So that first deal that you had must have also kind of helped add to this and been part of that success. What was that first deal like for you?
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. Anybody that's listening to this, it's all about patience. It's all about chopping wood and carrying water, doing the right things. And it's a momentum game, like I mentioned earlier. That first deal, I mean, it was probably 6 months in. It was something that the market I'm in down here has a lot of, let's just say, people that have been in the business for a very long time. So it was figuring things out, how I wanted to position myself, how I wanted to brand myself, what value I wanted to add to the marketplace. And through my internship, the rental management company the brokerage had a rental management company. And so I really started to understand investment rentals and rental properties. So with that being said, the first deal was a short-term rental investor, and I really kind of just ran with that. So the first one felt good, and I think I sold, I don't know, $1 million or $2 million in my first 12 months, first year, and then following that, it just started to really tumble into a bigger snowball.
Nice. Well, that's a great snowball that you have, and I can understand why you saw the value in being in this as a career. That internship seemed to be something that was really pivotal, though. Being, landing that. Would you say that was if you hadn't landed that, this might not be the career?
Yeah, there's a good chance. I mean, I was looking at commercial real estate, bigger cities. I think the unique part about what I do is the location that I'm at. And that is, we are a very highly sought after resort destination. And it allowed me to break into a market of people that were not primary residents. Right. So I don't want people that live here that know 10, 15 agents from going to church for the last 30 years. I want the guy in Boston with $1 million to put down and has a bunch of C-suite friends that he can share my contact information with.
Right. Right. So yeah, that's definitely different from what a lot of, people I would say in areas are looking for. But, again, that sets you apart. As you've said, that adds to your brand of what you are, what you're doing and differently than other people are, not just in your area, but in real estate in general. What would you say has been one of the things that's kind of been the most rewarding, deal or project that you've worked on so far in your career? Is there anything that stands out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's very rewarding to look back and see the accolades and know that I think a lot of people measure where they are today to where they want to go. And I think it's important to measure where you started to where you are today and really kind of enjoying that. So I'm very involved in investment properties. I've got a portfolio of about 14 million. And that is my expertise, short-term rentals, luxury investment properties. So in that realm, I would say the most rewarding thing is maybe in 2022, I had a relationship with the housing manager for Sea Pines, who's the biggest resort kind of housing and just overall resort on the island. And they said, the housing manager said, I need 40 to 50 beds by spring of 2025 for our employees. So I said, that's a pretty interesting opportunity. My family at the time was looking to get into a commercial project. We wound up buying a bank building and converting it into 48 beds for workforce housing, which is the biggest issue on our island. And a lot of these resort areas, if somebody's listening that's in a resort area, you know that housing for employees is an issue. And we cut the ribbon this year. We did it as a family, and it was so rewarding to see how far, from a vision standpoint, it came, and doing it with the family and cutting that ribbon. And the mayor was there and a bunch of news stuff. So that was probably the most.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's got to make you feel good that, that it is a challenge. Every resort town, right? Like how far out can the people that you have working there that you need to be there, can actually live. And, if they can live right around the corner, obviously that works out really well for everybody. So
yeah, it was a win for the town. It was a win for us. It was a win for the resort. I'm all about mutually beneficial outcomes and everybody winning. And that's what real estate should be, guys. So, at the end of the day, it's about everybody walking home and feeling good about the deal.
Yeah. Yeah. If somebody's walking away feeling bad like that that's got to leave definitely a bad taste in your mouth. Have you had any kind of like, one of those ones that was particularly challenging or it felt like there was a bit of a failure, even though maybe it worked out, that you can share that has also happened for you?
Oh, yeah. I don't think you're in the business if you don't run across those things. The longer you're in the business, the more you can smell out those kind of people and stay away from them because sometimes the commission is not worth it. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few shares of, overly crazy sellers that are just, move the pictures, do this, and it's almost like gives you a feeling of angst. So I've gotten a lot better at avoiding those people. I kind of work in the mindset if my clients don't win, I don't win. So I don't push people on investment properties and short-term rentals if I wouldn't buy it myself. And, it kind of comes from a place of, reputation's important, but also, I don't want to leave bad taste in people's mouth. And I'm not going to push them on something if I think it's not in their best interest. So I really try to avoid those. And I think the longer you're in the business, the more deals you do, first and foremost, the thicker your skin's going to be and the better you get at avoiding those types of consumers because they're just not worth your time, energy, happiness, so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, it's why standards exist, right? So we develop the standards because of the people who've not done the right thing or not, had the deal that you were looking for along the way. And I think that's good. It's good to, adhere to that and kind of develop that, approach of being able to, like you said, to sniff out those people that ultimately you don't really want to work with.
There's no money worth it. I mean, it's your happiness and your mindset. I mean, there's a bunch of other people and deals out there to be had.
Yeah. Now, would you say that that housing unit that you did with your family for building that, was that a big risk for you, or is there something else that is a big risk that you've taken in real estate, and kind of how did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, that building was a risk. We kind of negotiated the terms of the lease while we were in our due diligence. So, I mean, we knew what we were getting into. As far as like a risk, I mean, I just think the risk that people, need to look at out there is, what is the opportunity cost of not betting on yourself and going and getting a 9 to 5, right? And you got to take the risk to go out there and say, I'm going to be a little uncomfortable for 3, 6 months and give this 110%, because it's not going to happen overnight, especially in this market. And the other side of that, if you never try, you'll never know. I mean, it's crazy. I was not a good student in college, graduated with my highest cumulative GPA of a 2.4. And, real estate's beautiful because I'm helping people. And I mean, yeah, we're doing it for the money. And, it's crazy to say. I mean, I make more money than doctors than people that graduated with a 4.0. If I never would have betted on myself, who knows where I would be? So I think the risk, to answer your question, is people that want to get into real estate and don't want to, put the cards on the table and go all in on it. Because if you do that, amazing things can happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems that you really are enjoying the process too. And, gosh, that feels really nice to be able to, look forward to actually going to work and having that feeling. And I think that, obviously this is working for you, and you've got a niche that you're in that is different, a very unique approach. What would you say it is about your unique approach that sets you apart from, others, in the industry, in your area, in general?
Yeah, I mean, so again, we're Resort Island, Hilton Head. Everybody says they're an investment-friendly realtor. I don't know how many realtors have a $14 million portfolio. So I have put my money where my mouth is, and I know what to look for, what the best way to handle the management of these properties are, what the best value add is to get the most rentals out of it, because I'm doing it. And, so I think it's important for somebody that is listening to this to find that niche. And I like to call it your right? It's that uniqueness that only you can bring to the marketplace and that sets you apart from every other agent in there. Real estate's so broad. There's real estate and luxury. There's real estate and land. There's real estate and rentals. I'm real estate and investment. And narrowing that down and becoming an expert in that field, it almost turns you into a magnet, because then people, whatever, let's say you're moving to a new city, not a Hilton Head, let's say a Dallas, somebody that is buying probably wants to buy from somebody that was in the same shoes that they were in, right? So they want to find an agent that specializes in relocation that didn't live there before, and now they're, moving there, and they can kind of say, I walked in these shoes, Mr. Buyer, this is what I did, this is how I looked at it. And it gives perspective. So the fact that I have investment properties on the island, it gives me another level of credibility or perspective that adds value to my clients at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can't disagree with the thing that you're saying there. That's definitely a great way to describe it, and give people that kind of advice of what to look for when you are looking for that person to partner with when you're getting into this, and who and how you can help those people. But again, the niches seem to be where everything really is absolutely at in real estate, that you can't do everything for everybody, and you really, really, really can't in real estate, it seems.
The riches are in the niches. Yes.
You got it. So how do you have, obviously everybody experiences them at different times and in different ways, slow market periods. Do you have any of those turndowns, and how do you maintain, consistency, stay motivated, and stay in it?
Yeah, you got to stand on your why. Everybody should have a reason that they're going into the office or making these calls besides money. I think first and foremost, through the ups and downs, that will help you get through the downs. And it'll help you enjoy the ups as well. Everybody has challenges. Our market specifically down here, it's kind of seasonal, but it's also a resort market where it's a semi-year round. And it does have to do with the overall economy, the optimism versus pessimism. And I would say more than anything, this time of year, actually funny enough, you think about a beach town, you think summertime would be a good time to buy or busy. It's actually slow, because what's everybody doing? And they're on vacation. They're not thinking about a beach house when they're at the beach house. So it's funny enough, like July is one of our slowest months. And then, December, Christmas time, But it's, through the ups and downs, sometimes it's busier, sometimes it's not. And it's standing on your bigger why and really pushing through those hard times and enjoying the good ones.
Well, and sometimes those downturns, that gives you the chance to have your vacation. So,
Touche. And something people that are listening that, everybody always waits to go with the herd. Guys, you want to buy when the market is pessimistic and you want to sell when the market is optimistic. And if you follow that, as long as you can cover your costs through your tenants and rent, you're golden.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely something that people should be writing down. So how do you balance the demands? I mean, you have to have a personal life, right? You've got all these professional demands on you. What do you do in your daily life to make sure that you're balancing that and taking care of yourself?
Yeah, Mel, that's a great point. That's been the biggest challenge for myself is I push a big weight. I put a lot on my plate. I want to conquer the world. I want to do it all right now. And the reality of it, you just can't do that, right? I think, first and foremost, it's hard to get away from your phone in real estate. But I'm a big believer that there should be one day a week where you're not actively prospecting, practicing real estate, whether it's Sunday, whether it's Monday, whether it's Saturday, and really trying to set boundaries for yourself. Like, yes, if there's a big client that wants to buy a $2 million house, I'm going to reply at 9:30 at night in a text message. But if I get the average text message of, hey, what's the HOA fee at 9:30, I'm not going to answer it. And I think it's important for agents to set boundaries, right? Set your boundaries on the front end. But then also, I kind of like to call it your bookends, and that's your morning routine and your nightly routine. And if you wake up every day and you do your exact same morning routine and you feel good about it, and that doesn't change, and then at the end of the day, regardless of what happened in the day, you have your set nightly routine, it kind of, everything else goes to the washes. And I think setting boundaries, having routines is really important because it is a job that can just totally drain you. And it's something that's been a challenge for myself.
Yeah, I think everybody struggles with that at some point or another. So yeah, I think routines are honestly, like, a lot of people think that is a bit of a bad word, but I think routines are very valuable and give you time to look at those parts of your business sometimes that maybe if you were just sitting there returning phone calls, you wouldn't be looking at, and that's not going to help you or your clients long term.
Nope.
Have you ever had your principles, your values kind of challenged, and how do you find you get around that?
That's a good question. There's always people that want to push the line a little bit. I think it's important to define your values on the front end. Sometimes people say stuff and you think, that's not totally right, but what do you stand for? And you need to define that with yourself on the front end. I've had people that, do some things where if nobody saw it, nobody would probably know, but it's not the right thing. Guys, real estate is a game of karma. It is what you put in good will come out good. What you put in bad will come out bad. And it's one of those things you just got to know that going into it. And nothing specific, but you do have people every once in a while that, try to take the easy route or, want something different. And you got to know, I think the important thing with this is you got to know your value and you got to know what you stand for. And like, for example, somebody trying to discount commission, right? I know I'm supposed to call it compensation now, right? But at the end of the day, I would say if it's a great client, if it's somebody that's buying and selling, okay, right? But if it's somebody that you know your value and you know what you're going to bring to the table and they're still trying to take advantage, like that's something for me. So I'm not a discount broker and I stand by that. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. And it's funny, like I've had people where I don't take the listing because they want a percent off of the compensation. And that doesn't sell, and they call me back in 6 months, and they pay me my full percentage, and I sell the property. It's happened twice, So it would have been a waste of my time to go in there unrealistically with them. And whatever, again, going in with good intentions will come out with good intentions.
Well, and again, I think that's such a good reminder of the value that you do bring, right? To the table is if you have clients who are doing that, just reminding yourself that, yep, I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing, staying strong to those beliefs. And I think the challenging thing for a lot of people is which values do I broadcast and which, do I just kind of make sure I know myself?
Yeah, and I think that's from, and everybody knows the internals and externals, right? What's important for the external world to know? What's the most important is what you know internally.
Yep. And then just staying true to that.
Yeah, 100%.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen come across in the real estate industry since you've been doing this?
Yeah, I mean, again, I've only been in it about 6 years, so I'm a little naive. I would say more than anything is buyer optimism and pessimism, where we know when these rates go back down, price points are going to go up. And it's almost like you got to pop people on the head, and you got to get away. You got to pull yourself out of the people crowd. You got to get away from the herd, because people that wait to buy with the herd, they're going to pay more for it. And I think really trying to, like, we understand the market as agents, as brokers, and sometimes you get individuals that don't see it, and it's frustrating. But you can't open a gate that is unopenable, and it's got to come from within. So I think articulating what's actually happening in the market and what people are thinking is happening is a challenge for agents across the country. And I think something else is inventory. And what happens with the inventory is you have a lot of people that are house locked, feeling like they can't move because they're sitting on a 2.5 or 3.5% rate, and that's keeping inventory off the market. So again, when those rates come down somewhere stomachable to 5% ish, those people are going to say, okay, I've got $500,000 in equity. I want to upgrade. It's worth it now because it's a 5%, not a 7%. So when these rates again get down, those people will be listing their properties. So buyers jumping in that have been waiting for the rates to come down, it's going to be a bloodbath, and prices are going to go up. And articulating that to people when they don't see it every single day, I'd call it a frustrating challenge, but it's something that everybody has to deal with across the country.
Yeah, sometimes the best time is now. I mean, that means you've got the money in your pocket, and you and you can actually start making your plan happen, right? And that's I think that's a good thing, is to have a plan and then make that plan happen. And to do that, you've got to make decisions. You've got to see those. But you kind of walked into my next question, is kind of like, how do you stay ahead of some of those trends? Because a lot of people see this coming. A lot of people see that there is a change. There is a shift that's going to be happening in the marketplace. How do you, where do you kind of get that information to make sure that you are seeing that coming?
Yeah, I think you got to go where the puck's going, and you got to look at historical data. Markets go in cycles. And I think the biggest thing is staying in the loop with current events too. I know that current events, you haven't heard that word. I haven't heard it in a long time, but it's true, right? Because if you really understood what's the economics behind what's going on, guys, they stopped building houses in 2008 and 2009, and we're 4 or 5 million homes short in the United States. So everybody thinking that this is a 2008 and the market's going to fall out is totally incorrect. We are, if anything, we're on this rocket where prices are just going to keep going up. And obviously the interest rates are going to help some stuff. But I mean, we're in a market right now where I think it's the law, and there's an opportunity, because across the nation, not so much my resort little town, but more of the metropolitan areas, we don't have enough houses. The population's living longer. You've got people entering the housing force younger, and there's just not enough to go around. It's simple economics, supply and demand. So I think, I study that stuff. I stay on top of it. I want to be an expert for my client. I think agents that want to truly serve your client, you need to know what's going on in the world of real estate.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned current events. I mean, we know that there are, there's this elderly population holding on to homes that have multiple bedrooms because, again, that's their nest egg. That's their, retirement fund. And we're going to have so many of those getting on the market. And you're right that, the people are just going to be trying to gobble those up so quickly. So, my suggestion is, if you have a neighbor who's elderly and you want a home, go talk to him.
Buy real estate now.
Don't count that for anything, but that's what I would be doing. I mean, it's kind of how I ended up in the house that I'm in, is that I just talked to people I knew in the area that I wanted to be in, and got this house before it actually hit the market. So, which is great for me, but a lot of people don't have those conversations with people. And, I hire an agent to go through it and look over it, and, and a lawyer to make sure that, everything was on the up and up. But it was because I wanted to make it happen. I wanted it right. And I wanted to make sure that I was here and stayed here for a while until I could sell it to some younger, person with a family.
Is your net worth.
It really is. It really is. Yeah. A lot of times it is absolutely who you know. And I think that that's a great piece of advice for people who are coming up into the real estate market, career. What's some other advice that you kind of wish that you maybe had been given when you were kind of getting started in this?
Yeah, you're talking more for newer agents.
Yeah. I mean, you just said your network is your net worth, and I think that that's a fantastic piece of advice that a lot of people don't understand, that sometimes going to these to these groups and meeting these people and these networking events, I have found that I've never regretted going to any of those. I've always met at least one person, and one of those who ends up being valuable later. And one of those was
I
actually
think
my real estate lawyer.
Yeah, right. I think another good one is learning how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you're comfortable, nothing good's going to happen. You got to get outside of that comfort zone. It's funny, like 6 years ago when I got in real estate, I was scared to call the listing agent, right? And you think about it now, it's like holy 180. But what happened over time is when I became a bigger fish in a smaller pond, what did I do? I found a new pond. I became the small fish again. I was uncomfortable. Same thing. And I think, people like they want to go in and they want to do like whatever like they feel good doing. Well, sometimes you got to be uncomfortable. You got to pick up the phone and call that $1 million expired listing. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but that's where the good stuff happens. You got to go meet those people at these events because you're going to grow and you don't know who you're going to meet and what doors are going to go or open. And some people don't like that stuff. And I think if you go into real estate thinking you're going to be comfortable, you're not going to be successful. You need to go into real estate saying, I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to be in situations, but I'm going to grow from it financially, personally, right? And that is something that, is very important. I'd also say, guys, if you don't have a database, drop what you're doing and build your CRM or your database because that's your business. And it's crazy to me the amount of agents, even that have been in the business for a long time, that don't have a database. And, it's all about staying in front of people. So when you have a database, you know who to call, when to call. There's drip messages going out. You're staying in front of clients. It's your business. So guys, if you don't have a database, you need. I don't care if it's a spreadsheet to start out, right? You need something because if you don't have that, in my opinion, you don't have real estate business.
Yeah. Well, you got to have it and then you got to work it. So,
Correct.
Those are definitely two parts of it. And I think you're absolutely right about getting out of your comfort zone because it's very comfortable to be in the room that you're in with that one door, but that door isn't going to lead anywhere else if you don't open it, walk through it, and then check some of the other doors that are on the other side. And that's how again, I wouldn't have met my real estate attorney who's helping been so valuable, saved me so much money, because he pays attention, and which is why I hired him, those are the kind of people that you meet out there when you are, like you said, getting out of the comfort zone and finding out what's in the world. And those doors often lead to pretty amazing places that you never saw coming. So as you probably found out with, your internship, right? Giving you the taste of this.
Correct.
So obviously that's a big mistake that some people are making, not kind of developing that list, maybe not working that list. What are some other common mistakes that you see people who are getting into this career making?
Yeah, I think something else that is maybe even more important than the database is something I like to call your premium time. And this can relate to any business whatsoever. And you think about it, every single day, we only have 2 or 3 hours where we are at our best, right? Some people it's afternoon, some people it's early in the morning, some people it's mid-morning. You need to design your day around whatever is the most important thing for your business. So let's talk about real estate, and that's talking to buyers and sellers, prospecting, picking up the phone. It's called revenue generating activities. And that's the stuff that pays you $1,000 plus an hour, right? You need to design your day around your premium time, and you need to block every other distraction out besides your revenue generating activity, which is talking to buyers and sellers in the time period where you are at your best. And you need to religiously do that. And if you do that, you will be successful, right? It's like, maybe you're a stockbroker and it's, I need to look at the trades and the numbers at this time because I'm at my best. So if you're trying to make your calls in the afternoon and it's the time where you're just a little bit sleepy, right? Where you're not blocking off and protecting that time when you are going to make your calls, guys, you're never going to be successful in real estate. I mean, unless you're talking to buyers and sellers And my rule is 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. So if I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't have to do Friday. But if I miss a day, I have to do Friday. Build your day around the premium time and make sure you're doing your revenue generating activities, which is picking up the damn phone and talking to buyers and sellers in that time window. And just that piece alone, you will be successful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. As a person who's been, kind of entrepreneurial myself and done that, I have lists that are broken into what time of day am I doing that thing? What do I need to do? And something, I'm just going to throw this in there because it's been so helpful to me. I have a little bit of ADHD, so maybe it's just me, but things that I need to do less of, right? Like, is this something that I can put on somebody else? Is this something that even helps my business at all? Why am I putting my time and attention on that and focus myself on those things that are actually making me money?
Yes, and when you're starting, you need to do some of those. So it's rev gen versus non-rev gen activity. You have to, but at some point, you create a transfer list of everything that does not pay you. Like for me, if I'm not on the phone with buyers, sellers, if I'm not at a listing appointment, if I'm not showing $1 million plus properties, if I'm not working with my team, like that kind of stuff is really the only thing I should do at the point where I'm at. And before I was doing a lot, I've got support staff where I came up with their entire description of their job by saying things that do not pay me enough or are not worth my time to do because my time is best served doing something else. So yeah, great point.
And I think, you're saying also something that a lot of people I hear out there in the world saying in real estate that, when they have kind of gotten past that threshold, past those first, few years, that having that team is invaluable. Having those people who can, maybe answer those simple questions or, maybe send those invoices or say, do some of those tasks that are taking you away from those things that you're best at.
We're not on the clock. We need to produce, right? And we don't have time when you're trying. And I think for people listening, it's very hard to get over a 40 transaction a year hump by yourself. Like that is, and that's a lot of transactions. I mean, I did it at 20 transactions. And when I got to 20, I brought somebody on, and I mean, we went to like 50 in the next 6 months or 12 months. So super important, but you do have to learn to prioritize prior to actually being at the point to do that. Bring somebody on.
Yeah. Would you say that, that kind of that list of, focusing on that priority time is one of the ways that you build those strong relationships and you maintain those with your clients?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm religious about it to the point where I'm trying to add some other things into my business and I'm trying to move, and it's almost hard for me to not prospect because, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, real estate's relationships. People are going to work with people that they like. And when I didn't have that many leads or people or spirit, I mean, I would just call me, how you doing? If there's any way I can provide value to you with the real estate market, and it's staying in front of people till you get to the point where, you've got 2,000 people in your database and you can't just call everybody, and then you take one out to masses. But at the beginning, I mean, I keep a top 100 list of my past clients and I talk to them every other month. And you got to stay in front of people. You got to religiously, because I'm telling you, if I wouldn't be in this position, if I did not religiously protect my prospecting hours and almost, do it like my life depended on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, financially it does,
Financially it does. And, you just got to, and I think something else, when you calculate, I've calculated how much money I make when I'm on the phone, right? And when I'm prospecting buyers and sellers compared to following up with an email or running to the post office. I mean, that's $20 an hour. Essentially, it's nothing, right? But when I'm on the phone, it's like $1,500 an hour. Are you kidding me? And when you really look at it and you like tell yourself in that way, if I'm doing this activity, that's how much money I'm going to make. There's no reason not to. So it's almost shift your perspective a little bit. And what are you really getting paid to do? And how much time are you really doing what you get paid to do versus stuff that you're just at the office doing? You're not making any use of your time.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And I support that because a friend of mine actually literally has a business running to the post office, running to the town clerk's offices, and doing these other tasks for real estate agents so they literally can stay on the phone talking to clients. And she's turned this into a successful business, and she's actually now hiring staff to help her because she has so much business. So, the reality is, yes, that if people, it's valuable for you to stay on the phone, to be calling those people, to be I mean, I think we used to call it back in the old days when I started doing sales, dialing for dollars. Right? Because if you weren't on the phone, you weren't making money, and that's a big reality, is that you're only going to make money when you're in front of people or you're talking to them on the phone.
And I think to add to that too, like good things happen to you that would not happen to you if you didn't do that in the business sense. Like, for example, I sold a year and a half in a $4.2 million house. The only reason, and that like exploded a lot of my business. The only reason that happened is because I committed probably 270 of the last days of being on the phone, and I reaped the reward. That was the right place, the right time at my desk. Like, and things won't fall into your lap if you're not doing the required stuff. But things will fall into your lap that you aren't expecting when you are doing the right activities. And I think that's an important note.
Well, and you can be the best at what you do, but if nobody knows that you do it, right?
Nobody else is going to promote.
Nobody's going to come. Nobody's going to. Your door is going to be quiet. So you've definitely built yourself a brand. I mean, we've talked about that a little bit. Here. What do you think are some of the keys to building that strong personal brand in real estate, and not specific just to what you're in for your niche?
And I think to start is a combination of two things. First and foremost, what are you inspired about? Like, what part of real estate do you like? Like, some people hate investment properties, right? Don't get niche down and do investment. I think first and foremost, what do you want to do and what do you like to do in the world of real estate? And then two is, what will your market reciprocate, right? If there was no short-term rentals on Hilton Head, I probably wouldn't have niched down into short-term rentals, right? So I think it's market dependent and personal dependent. And so, like, if maybe somebody else, maybe you can kind of see there's a gap in the marketplace. Well, I live in a rural area and nobody's really a ranch real estate niche, right? I like that, right? I grew up on, and it's kind of combining those two things together. What will the market reward from it's missing right now? The value needs to be there. And then what do you like to do? And for me down here, there was nobody that was like the short-term rental guy. And I saw that as an opportunity. I like building wealth through real estate. I think so. You got to enjoy it, and there's got to be an opportunity. And then once you do decide, so here's a big tip, and kind of how I broke into a market that's extremely competitive is, once you have your uniqueness, your niche, guys, it's super important to put it on a IDX website landing page and brand yourself as the expert and put all of your secret sauce on there. At first, I thought everybody was going to take it. Like, you can go to mine, it's findhiltonheadrealestate.com. And I gave all of my short-term rental secrets. And I drive traffic there with Google Ads. And it is crazy. I mean, I probably sold $80 million of real estate from that website because the messaging is right, the brand is right, it's super specific, it adds a lot of value, and people will either go on the website and start to get some of the value and then create an account. But most of them, they'll reach out to me because they see how much of an expert I am in that space. There's nobody else. It's what they're looking for. So I think after you kind of identify what your uniqueness, niche, brand, and is, you've got to put it online, in my opinion, in the world right now. Because what happened with COVID? Online consumption went through the roof. Before people are making big decisions, they're online. And you want to catch them before they get to zero is the key. And realtor.com and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're, putting together a website like that shows the value, right, that you provide, because loads of people have great ideas, right? Loads of people can see, and they can connect these dots. But loads of people are not willing to do the work to do that. And showing people that you do and you are, and sharing a little bit of that secret sauce shows people that you really do know what you're talking about. And I think that it's, again, that's part of your brand, right? That information is what sets you apart from a lot of the other people.
And then what happens with these buyers and their mindset, there's like, I can't work with anybody else but Brandon. I've never even met him. I need to, because he's the only one that's giving it. I had somebody that bought a $3.2 million house this year. They signed up on my website. I called them. They didn't answer. She left me a voicemail. Next thing I know, 3 months later, we were under contract on this house. She just called me. And it's like, she felt like she knew me because I videos, all that, spend the time on the website. And it's not going to happen overnight. Same thing with the database. But you got to put your expertise on a website in this flat world that we live in right now.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. You gotta put that stuff out there, and it is scary. It is, you do worry, like, is somebody gonna take that? But the reality is,
Nobody's going to
again,
take it. Because they're not
people
going
aren't
to
gonna
take
do
the
that
time to
work.
take what you put out there and do it on there. And even if they did, it came from you and you're the one that knows it. So when the clients call them asking for their insight, they don't know because they stole it, right?
They don't
So
know it. You're right. Yeah,
don't be afraid
they
of
don't
putting your
actually
stuff
have
out
the
there.
answers.
Obviously there's some stuff that you don't want to, but there's I'd say 95% of it, 90% of it, put it on the website because it's going to show you're the expert.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Now, are there any times that you've had kind of some of these things you're trying to do with relationships with clients, and maybe things didn't go as planned? How did you kind of work yourself out of those situations, or anything that sticks in your mind about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's things that don't, you got to give yourself grace, I would say. And you've got to understand that real estate is an environment that there are a lot of things out of your control. You
Hmm.
can only control so much. And, you can't get you can get, a little deflated, but don't let all the air out because it was out of your control. If it was something that you made the mistake from, learn from it and don't let it happen again. But yeah, I mean, things happen. I mean, this is a business that people with the thicker skin are going to win. So get used to, getting kicked every once in a while and get used to getting back up because it doesn't matter how many times you fall down, it matters how many times you get back up.
Yep, that was some great advice that that I learned, early on in my life. You got to get back up. I think I already know what you're going to say to this one, but maybe it's something else that you haven't talked about us yet. But you seem really proud about that, that housing that you did in your community. Is that, or is there another moment that is your proudest moment, in this business?
I mean, that was one of them. I mean, it's, I think I like doing that with the family, having the vision and then seeing it come to a reality with my family was really special. And it's interesting because like I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I didn't grow up down here on Hilton Head. So I walk in a lot of shoes of my clients. So it's very rewarding for me to kind of watch them go through that transition of whether it's a primary or a second home and opening the world of this beautiful island and all of the investment possibilities, lifestyle possibilities. But I'll be honest, probably my proudest achievement is the National Association of Realtors 30 Under 30. That was a very exclusive group. It's something where every single year these 30 under 30s come back and welcome the new class. And it's a mastermind, it's a referral network, it's a lot of fun, and it's lifelong friendships. And it's like that's something that's opened a lot of doors for me. And also, nobody can ever take that away from me. So I'd probably say I've had some good times. I've had a lot of bad times too. But if I
Yeah.
had to say the best, it was probably most proud of being honored as a 30 under 30.
Nice. Well, that's great. And congratulations. I mean, that is definitely an award that's not just given to anybody. So you got to work really hard for that,
Powers
and
in
I'm sure it's well
proximity
earned.
too. Once you get around people like that, we grow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just kind of it rubs off. I've got to imagine. What do you see happening? You've only been in this career, you said, since 2019. What do you see happening? Kind of as you double that. As you go to the next 5 to 10 years of your career.
Yeah, that's something I'm always thinking about the next step. Sometimes I'm too far ahead. I want to continue to build my investment portfolio. I want to build, so I've got a small team right now. I've got a full-time executive assistant, transaction coordinator, and I've actually have my brother that is a partner and agent with me in some facets of the business. So we want to grow a little bit more of a tight-knit local team, few agents, more support staff. We want to continue to build our national sales organization. But I think the biggest thing that really kind of fires me up and is creating multiple verticals within the realm of real estate, right? I'm very much entrepreneurial. A good example of that could be, okay, we've got our real estate brokerage, we've got a construction company, and we've got a holding company. And let's say, Mel, you call me up to sell your house, I come over, I say, sell 3%, perfect. Let's say it needs new countertops, new carpet. I say, hey, we can get it done for you in 2 weeks. And we're going to be able to, it's going to cost you 100 grand, but I think we'll be able to get at least 250 to 300 more out if you want to do it, right? Send them in there. And then let's say, no, I don't want to do that. I said, okay, well, it might not sell. Our holding company will buy it from you. easy cash, right? And then we'll send the construction company in and then relist it. So I think creating more verticals internally. There's just like I see it down here in the second home market. There's nobody wants to do any work. There's a high value for good work, and maybe it's not construction, but I just think it's the parallel of businesses. So I see that in our future.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, do you see that as kind of being like the legacy that you're going to build and that you're going to leave behind to continue on, once you decide you've had your fill?
Maybe. I mean, I see myself always selling real estate.
Yeah.
I do look at myself, though, as a businessman first and a broker second. So with that being said, I'm always looking for new ventures. I'm always looking for mostly focused around real estate. And it could be syndications, it could be bigger developments, but I do enjoy the day-to-day sales. I just, 20 years, 30 years from now, I don't want to be at a point where I have to come in and pound the phone for 3 or 4 hours every day. It can be maybe I'm feeling like I want to today. And so a little more options when it comes to that.
Well, I can say that every successful real estate person that I know doesn't feel like it's a lot of work, right? Like they feel like they really enjoy it. They really, they're helping connect people, to what they need. They're helping people with their investment strategies. They're helping people in general. And that a lot of that brings them, that feeling of this isn't work, like this is like, it's almost like you're providing a service to the community in a way, and the benefit is that you also get to make a really nice income while you're doing
whatever fills your cup up, right? Whatever makes you happy, and if I didn't enjoy real estate, regardless of the money, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset of anything you go into. You should do what you like. You should do what you enjoy. And what happens is when you enjoy it, you become pretty good at it. And when you become pretty good at it, you become more successful, and it becomes a more lucrative career.
You're talking about the snowball again, right? So
yeah, momentum's funny. It's like, you're always going in a direction. Are you going uphill or are you going back or forwards or backwards?
Right.
You really got to say, I'm forcing it to go in the right direction.
Yeah, there's few times I find that people are just sliding sideways, right?
Very rarely.
Very rarely. Have you had some kind of properties, some kind of dealings that you've been involved with that were pretty, unusual? There was something really interesting about it that stick out in your memory that you can share, obviously.
I've had a few that are like I've got people that do renovations that are nasty. Like, a lot of these older homes down here, they're taken care of because the dirt's expensive. But every once in a while, like we saw one where I had a client go in and gut it. I sold him the investment and then I resold it for him. He did very well on it. But it was so disgusting that my assistant, who's not afraid of it, she wouldn't go in the house. We're talking cobwebs, mold, floors falling out. And surprisingly, the guy didn't tear the house down. So, that's probably the nastiest one. But I would say I recently did a renovation on a property that was not fun. It was the sixth oldest house on the island, 1958. I will never do a 1958 renovation again.
Yeah.
And I would say the most unfortunate thing is when I was building the pool, I saw this like stuff coming out of the ground. It was like fabric or something. I was like, I don't know what that is. Probably nothing. Well, we get a first big rainstorm the day after I take the pictures for Airbnb, and the first floor flooded. And it turns out it was the drainage system that I ripped out of the ground. So I will never again forego drainage in my life. And it cost me a lot of money to put it back in after I had a perfectly fine one. Just attention to detail, right? So be careful when you're renovating older homes, and whatever you're doing, never overlook drainage.
Yeah, good lesson to learn. Yeah, drainage is definitely an important thing. So you mentioned if you didn't enjoy this, that you wouldn't be doing this, even with the money. Well, what would you do? What would if real estate wasn't the thing for you? What would you be doing?
I think I would buy unsexy businesses and make them more successful and resell them. I like the world of business, and I think there's some opportunity right now. We talk about the aging housing market. I think there's an opportunity for some aging business owners, people that maybe haven't got the business as tech friendly or as integrated in today's world. And I mean, it could be as simple as a laundromat. It could be as simple as flower shop, where it's stuff that you put the right systems in place and then it becomes more profitable. So I think I'm a businessman at the end of the day. So something in the realm of that, something I do not see myself in a 9 to 5. I do not see myself with,
Yeah.
a boss to report to. So again, if I'm adding value and I'm creating, something that I'm proud of, that's what it's all about. But the benefit of real estate is you can help people in the process.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's great. I mean, I definitely see businesses and you hear it every day, where, well, this is the way we've always done it, but is it the best way? And sometimes they just can't see
Maybe a
a
little
different
tweak
way.
can get that EBITDA way up, and then who
Yeah.
knows? But maybe one day, not right now. Too much.
Yeah. Once you finished building all those verticals, you'll be like,
Yeah,
just
I
going to
know,
take on some pet projects, a little side hustle. What's a fun fact about you that people listening to this don't know? Maybe they should.
I played competitive golf since I was 5 years old, which is just crazy to even think about. I didn't have a choice in it. I enjoyed it. I'm a good golfer now, but I played college my freshman year before I transferred to Clemson, and I didn't touch a golf club for about 5 years after that. I was
Oh,
just
wow.
like done. And all my buddies have the golf hitch right now, living in Hilton Head. I'm like, but I joined a little 9-hole course. So yeah, I played college golf and I played competitive golf from 5 to 19.
Oh, wow. But you seem to be in a place where there's plenty of golf opportunities, though.
A lot. I like 9 holes. That's all I need.
There you go. Yeah, I think it gets a little bit long, personally for me. I'm usually
too
at the
much
driving
time away
range.
from revenue generating activities.
There you go. Yeah, I like being at the driving range and at the putting green, and I'm like all the other stuff in between, whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, this is just one of those kind of fun questions as we kind of wrap up the interview, like to look at and ask people, if you could be anywhere, buy any property, live in any location around the world, no limitations on this, right? All of a sudden, magically, you get that genie and they can grant your wish. Where would you live and why?
That's a great question. Just one house, just not two places, not a summer and winter. I'll tell you, there's a place on Hilton Head called Brahms Point that in April is like the most amazing month here. It's like not too hot, not too cold. Days are still long. Brahms Point, at the end of Brahms Point, you have the sunset and a private beach on one side, and on the other side you have a up to 180-foot boat slip on about 3 acres, and it's about $20 million property. So I mean, part of the year there, and let's call it the colder months. And then, I'm a big fan of the Caribbean. I really like St. John, the BVI, so probably St. John in the colder months when I just think that's a special place down there, and it's not too far away, and I don't need to go to California with what's going on. And I think right back and forth. That's all.
I tell you, you're bringing back some memories for me. I went to St. John one year, and as I was leaving, there was a boat for sale for $3,000 in the bay, sailboat. And I said, you know what? I have that money in cashier's checks on me right now, and I don't need to go home. I could just stay here, and tourists need people to drive them around and have fun. And I was that close.
You might not regret it. That place is magical, man.
I wouldn't. Yeah, it's a magical place. So that is definitely a good pick for those colder months. And I will tell you, I actually went down there for Christmas through New Year's one year when I was down there, and oh my gosh, it was the best Christmas and New Year's ever.
Can't beat it. You think it's going to be cold? It's perfect.
Oh, it was perfect. Every day was perfect, and they were like, oh, it's going to be, you're in the rainy season, which meant that for about 20 minutes, there was a light sprinkle every day.
I can live with that.
And I totally could, like, you didn't need to go anywhere. By the time you got to where you were going, it was sunny and warm and you're dried. So
worse. Yeah. That's where I'd be. I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
All right. I fully support your idea. 100% behind going there. So the other place I've never seen, but maybe I should go check that out. What is, if you can share one, do you have, a crazy / funny, thing that happened to you when you were, kind of involved in the property, maybe checking it out, maybe, doing a walkthrough with a client? Is there anything that kind of stands out that was a unique situation that you got yourself in?
I think it was like my second deal. I put an offer on the wrong address that was actually listed too. So it was a different property. And that was thankfully, you know, for people on the other side were like, what's going on here? But to think I did that and now I'm sitting here today, I've come a long way. So you make mistakes, guys. Don't worry. It's not too late.
Yeah, well, you got to learn and you got to own up to them, right? That's the that's the reality of
100%.
all this. You got a bunch of places that you're on. I see you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You have a YouTube channel. You got your personal website. Where is it that people, if they want to learn more about you, they want to, check out your site, they want to check out your YouTube, where do you recommend people start from? What's the number one place people should
Yeah,
go
if you want to
to check
connect
you
with
out?
me on a personal level, because I think life's all about having fun and you know, doing something that you love when you're not having fun. Follow me on Instagram, Brandon Brandon Greenplate. And then if you want to learn more about what I'm doing in real estate, I'd probably say our Greenplate at Greenplate Group is our Instagram for our real estate firm, and YouTube Greenplate Group as well. We got a lot of good content coming out there. And then connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Type in my name. I do a lot on LinkedIn. Those are probably my biggest places. And you'll see my website. If you want to look at how I set up my website, it's findhiltonheadrealestate.com. You're welcome to steal whatever you need from it as far as layout and just because, you know, they're not going to be the expert in that. I don't think anybody else is an expert in Hilton Head, but as far as how I create the value.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, we will share all of those when we send this podcast out into the world in the notes section. So definitely been a great learning experience. Great to learn about Hilton Head, South Carolina from you, and that the real estate that you're doing in that part of the world. So that's going to wrap this up. Brandon Greenplate, thank you very much for joining us here on this episode of the Inner Circle podcast. And I hope that everybody listening took some great takeaways. I felt like you gave us some really enlightening advice on how to take your real estate career to the next level. So again, thanks for tuning in. Find us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Instagram at America's Inner Circle. Again, thank you very much, Brandon Greenplate, and we'll see everybody again next time.
Thanks, Mel.